Welcome to my channel. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. When I was a kid, I grew up in a small village, tucked away in the mountains of Thailand. It wasn't anything like the big city with all its noise and lights. No, we had wooden houses, dirt roads, and no real water system. Just a simple life. I was the only son, so my parents made sure I helped around with all the chores, especially ones that took a little muscle. I didn't mind it though. I kind of liked feeling like I was contributing, doing my part, you know? One of my regular tasks was to go get water from the stream up the mountain. We didn't have running water in the house, so every day I'd grab this big, heavy 5-gallon jug and trek up to fill it. The walk wasn't too bad. A bit steep, sure, but nothing I couldn't handle. The trail twisted and turned between trees, with the kind of quiet only the mountains can give you. It felt peaceful most days. But there was this one time that still sends a shiver down my body. Thinking back on it, it makes my skin crawl. I was about 11, maybe 12, and on one of those usual trips, I noticed something odd. About halfway up the trail, near this big old tree, I saw a man crouching down by the side of the path. He didn't look like he was doing anything, just sitting there with his head down, arms resting on his knees. He seemed normal enough, like someone taking a break, or maybe just lost in thought. But there was something about him that felt off. I can't quite explain it, but it gave me a strange feeling. I didn't think much of it that day, just figured he was a villager or a traveler who stopped for a rest. People pass by sometimes, so it wasn't completely unusual to see someone on the trail. I just kept going, filled up my jug, and went home. The next day, I went up the mountain again. As I got closer to that same spot, I saw him again. Same crouch position, same spot by the big tree. I remember thinking, that's weird. It looked like he hadn't moved an inch. Same way of sitting, same way he had his arms on his knees, head tilted down. It's like he'd been waiting there or something. I walked by him again, trying not to stare, and went on my way. Days went by, and every time I went up to get water, he was there. Same position, same spot, just crouched down by the big tree. It was starting to freak me out a little. I hadn't told my parents because, honestly, what was I going to say? Hey, there's a weird guy by a tree? They'd probably tell me to mind my business or that I was seeing things. So I just kept it to myself. Then, about a week later, it rained in the morning. The trail was all muddy and slippery, so I had to walk slower than usual. I remember being extra careful, trying not to lose my footing. I didn't want to drop the jug or fall with it, especially when it was filled to the top. That jug was heavy. I went up, filled it up, and started back. It was getting dark too. The clouds from the rain had made everything gloomy, and by the time I was heading back, the sun was pretty much gone. I didn't want to be on that trail in the dark, but I also didn't want to rush and slip. As I got closer to that big tree, I could feel my heart beating a little faster. I knew he'd be there. Sure enough, he was, crouching in that same spot. But something was different this time. I felt this strange heaviness in the air. I kept my eyes on the ground, trying not to look his way. Then it happened. I slipped. I didn't fall too hard, but I dropped the jug, and it rolled right toward him. My heart skipped a beat. I scrambled up, but I was facing away from him now. I dropped something, a piece of cloth I'd wrapped around my hand to hold the jug, so I bent down to pick it up. Out of pure curiosity, or maybe something deeper that I can't explain, I decided to look at him, but I did it through my legs. It sounds strange, I know, but there was this old superstition in my village that if you wanted to see a spirit or catch a glimpse of something not of this world, you could look at it through your legs. So I bent all the way down and peeked through. What I saw, it was like something straight out of a nightmare. The man wasn't just a man anymore. His face was this horrifying shade of blue, like he hadn't breathed in years. His eyes were dull, almost empty, staring straight at me, but it felt like he was looking through me. And his tongue, it was long, so long it almost touched the ground, like some twisted version of a snake. He wore these sashes, red and green, wrapped around his waist. It all felt wrong, like I was looking at something that wasn't supposed to be in this world. I jerked up, heart pounding, and turned around to see him fully. But when I did, he looked normal again. Just a man, crouching there with his head down, staring at the ground. But I knew what I saw. That blue face, those dead eyes, that terrifyingly long tongue. My hands were shaking. I grabbed the jug, which had rolled a little closer to him, and I forced myself to walk away, trying not to break into a run. That night, after I got home, I couldn't get rid of the feeling of what I'd seen. It followed me right into my dreams. I don't remember much about the nightmare, though. Just that I woke up in a cold sweat, heart racing. I tried so hard to remember what the nightmare was, but it was like it slipped away the moment I opened my eyes. I lay there, staring up at the dark ceiling, thinking, what was it? But no matter how much I tried, it was like my mind just wouldn't let me hold on to it. It was gone, just flashes of something terrifying that I couldn't quite put my finger on. I thought about it all day, trying to remember, but it stayed just out of reach. Luckily, I didn't have to go back to the stream for another week. We had enough water stocked up, so I had time to let my mind settle down a bit. I even started convincing myself that maybe it was just my imagination playing tricks on me. Maybe I'd scared myself for no reason, and that guy by the tree was just some strange traveler passing through. Yeah, maybe that was it. Later that day, I had to go out and get some wood for cooking. We didn't have an electric stove or anything fancy like that. All our meals were made over a fire, so we always needed a good stock of wood around the house. I grabbed a small wicker basket and headed out. The spot I usually went to was only about a 10-minute walk from our house. Just a small clearing where dead trees and fallen branches piled up, perfect for gathering firewood. When I got there, I put down the basket and started chopping at a few small dead trees. I'd break off some bigger branches, strip off the smaller twigs, and toss them in the basket. It was quiet, peaceful even. Just the soft sound of leaves and the steady thunk of my axe against wood. I'd been at it for a while when I felt it, a light tap on my shoulder. I froze. For a second, I thought maybe it was just a leaf or a branch brushing against me, but I knew the area was clear. I'd been careful to stand where there wasn't anything that could snag me. I turned around slowly, half expecting to see someone or something behind me, but there was nothing. No one. Just the trees, the branches, and the shadows that seemed a little darker than before. My heart started racing again. So, I took a deep breath and tried to focus. I gripped my axe again, telling myself to calm down and get back to work. Maybe it was just nerves, you know? Or maybe I'd just brushed against something without realizing it. I kept chopping, breaking down the wood into smaller pieces, gathering up branches, and tossing them into the basket. I was trying to put it out of my mind, trying to stay calm. Then, after a few minutes, I felt it again. That same tap, but this time on my other shoulder. I stood there frozen, my heart thudding so hard I could almost hear it. I slowly turned, half expecting to see someone standing right there, but when I looked over my shoulder, there was no one there, just the same trees and shadows, still and silent. My gut clenched, and this time, something told me to look up. So, very slowly, I tilted my head back, and that's when I saw him. The same man I'd seen before, only now he was hanging upside down from the tree above me. His face was inches from mine, his skin a sickly blue, his eyes wide and unblinking, and his long, twisted tongue was hanging out. I screamed. I didn't just yell. I screamed with everything I had in me, threw my axe down, and ran. I ran like my life depended on it, not daring to look back even once. The whole way back, the image of that face, those eyes, and that long, horrible tongue stayed burned in my mind. I was so terrified I could barely feel my legs, but somehow I made it back to the house, practically bursting through the door. My parents jumped up, startled, and all I could do was stammer and try to explain what had happened. My words tumbled out, all jumbled and shaky, but they seemed to understand enough. My dad's face went serious, and he listened carefully to everything I said. He wasn't a shaman or anything like that, but he knew things. My grandpa had passed down a lot of knowledge about spirits and ghosts, so my dad had picked up some old beliefs and tricks. Later that day, my dad went outside and found a sturdy branch. He whittled it down, carving it carefully until it was sharp, almost like a small wooden knife. When he came back inside, he held it out to me and told me to spit on it. I was confused, but I did as he said, spitting onto the wooden blade. Then he wrapped it up with a piece of cloth and took a bundle of joss papers with him. He told me to lead him to the place where I'd seen the man crouched down by the big tree. The whole walk there, I could feel my heart pounding, and I kept glancing around, half expecting to see that face pop out from somewhere. But thankfully, we made it to the spot without seeing anything unusual. When we arrived, my dad knelt down at the exact spot where I'd seen the man crouching all those times. He took out the knife and the joss paper, laying them down carefully. Then, he set both of them on fire, watching as the flames slowly consumed the wooden knife and the paper. My dad told me that by burning both the knife and the joss paper, he was creating a kind of protection, a way of making sure the spirit couldn't harm me. He said it should be enough to keep me safe, but he looked me in the eye and told me that if I ever saw the spirit again, I had to tell him right away. He knew a stronger spell if it was needed, but he hoped this would be enough. After that, we walked back home. I felt a strange mixture of relief and worry, wondering if it had really worked. I can't lie, I was scared to go back to the stream, or even back into the woods for a while. But the days went by, and I didn't see the man again. Weeks passed, and eventually, I went back to the stream without any trouble. I never saw that spirit again. Even now, years later, and no longer living in those wooden houses, I still remember that face sometimes. The blue skin, the eyes, and that awful tongue. But I don't feel that fear anymore. Instead, I just feel grateful to my dad for understanding and knowing what to do. Thank you for listening to this video. I'll see you in the next one.